David, so the AstraZeneca Pfizer deal ended yesterday. The question is, why did it have to end so early?
Well, it had to end because of the takeover panel's put up or shut up rule. And the takeover panel's rule gives bidders 28 days from the date of what's known as a possible announcement of a bid. And so when you make that possible announcement, you've got 28 days to make a firm offer for the company, which is an offer that sets out the terms of the offer, and at the point of time you make that firm offer, you've got to make the offer. So they had 28 days, yesterday the 28 days ended and they didn't make a firm offer, so it's over now for 6 months at least.
But why couldn't they make a better offer then?
They couldn't make a better offer because the takeover panel has a set of rules that's designed to control carefully parties' behaviour during a bid, and one of those rules is that if you say this is my final offer, I'm not going to pay you any more money, it's $55 a share, that's my final offer. Once you've made that offer, the takeover code says you cannot increase that offer. Last week they made a no increase statement, as they're formally known, and they said $55 is our final offer. And so that meant that they couldn't increase it.
But why couldn't they just go straight to the shareholders? Why couldn't they go hostile?
Yeah, well, that's also a similar sort of problem. They couldn't go hostile because they said they wouldn't go hostile. So if you make a statement about something that you're going to do, then you are constrained to behave in that way. It's different from how we would negotiate if I was trying to buy something from you.
Well, David, I still find it difficult to understand why these rules have been, have been written in this way. I mean, what's the logic behind them?
It is, I think it is difficult to understand it for anyone used to negotiating over the purchase of an asset in a free way. The underlying logic is that one of the core goals of the Takeover Code is to ensure orderly capital markets, to ensure that there is not excessive volatility in the share price. And that principle serves as a justification for a set of rules that, as I say, heavily constrains behaviour. That's the underlying justification.
Well, to me, it seems as if these rules they have been used as a takeover defense in disguise.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a takeover defense, but what these rules, certainly the put up or shut up rule, what it clearly does is it operates as a dampener on takeover activity. Now, that used to be the case, the old put up or shut up rule used to be the case that if you were a bidder, you would attempt to negotiate with the company, possibly in secret for a period of time. If the target felt like the bidder wasn't actually coming properly to the table and making an offer, the target could then approach the takeover panel and say to the panel, we would like you to issue a put-up or shut-up order. The panel would consider that and then make a ruling which would specify a particular date by which time the bidder would have to actually make a bid. Now, following Cadbury and Kraft and a lot of the furore around that deal, similar to the AstraZeneca furore, the panel changed its rules so that there is a fixed time period of 28 days. Now that time period is pretty tight, which means that the bidder clearly has to have all its ducks in a row, and if it hasn't, then that may mean it's incapable of actually making a firm offer by day 28. So it operates as a damper. I wouldn't say it's a takeover defense, but it certainly dampens the deal.
Well, it seems to me that in this particular case, it has been used as a takeover defense, because the way that AstraZeneca has used this rule was simply to say, okay, now because you made your offer final, there's nothing you can do about that now.
Yeah, but it's not a defense, because you're right, those rules have operated in that way, but what the bidder says is within the control of the bidder, right? The bidder, Pfizer in this case, said it wouldn't go hostile. Pfizer said this is our final offer. They needn't have said those things, had they? Or they could have said them with qualifications. This is a hostile deal, but we might change our mind. Had they done so, then they wouldn't have been constrained in this way. So I see what you're saying, but we typically think about a takeover defense that's something in the control of the target board. And in this case, it's really in the control of the bidder, subject to a set of very constraining rules.
Well, I'm not 100% convinced by this argument, because of course the bidder has to say something, right? It's part of the negotiation. At some point you have to say, my bid is final.
Yeah, but
right?
the bidder doesn't have to say we're not going hostile. I mean, there's no reason for them to say that.
But hostility would be very difficult in this case, given all the political dimension around this case, right?
I think that's right. I think hostility would be extremely difficult, but it's the political dimensions that operate as an informal bid defense, not necessarily the rules. Yes, you're right. At some point in time, you have to make a statement, this is our final offer. But you can create wiggle room there. Arguably, there could have been some wiggle room for Pfizer. I think if you read their statement, there is arguably some wiggle room there that they could have made an additional offer. But I don't think there was much wiggle room, and they could have created more by, I think, a less clear statement. But you're right, at some point in time, bidders are forced to make a final statement about what their final offer is.
Okay, thank you, David.